Hello everyone, Key of W, Artisan of Glimmith, let's get on with it. So I'm doing a re-record today, something slightly new. So my computer ate one of my videos. And it's my own fault. I use an old software because I can't be, bothered to learn how to video edit, and I'm too cheap to upgrade. So, that'll happen from time to time, I guess. So this section I completed, and I thought I was super clever, and then I lost the video. So my only really recourse here is to go back and just do the puzzles again. You can't restore old saves, and why would you? That's not like a problem with the game. Why would you want to restore an old save? But it means that if I lose the video of me doing it, I have to go through, erase my progress on this, so it's actually a completed puzzle, and then just solve it again. So the nice thing about re-recording is I've already played this puzzle, so I know how it is, so it's not going to be as hard to solve the second time around. It does mean that we lose all of my scintillating commentary coming off the top of my head in my first sort of blind run of the puzzle, but whatever. There are 5 puzzles here we hadn't done. There's this one, there's 3 down here. I'll know it because the puzzles, yeah, there's blank there, this one right here, and then that guy right there, the 7er. These are actually pretty good puzzles. I remember I struggled with a couple of them, but overall I thought they were pretty good. So we will not get to have my first experience of enjoying them. It'll be sort of just talking about them, but whatever. Let's get started. You don't care. So yeah, mismatch we're still in. This one we got pentominoes with the polynominos. So we've got 2 givens, I guess we could say. So we got this good old I shape. And right away we know it can't go left to right. So it's going to go up and down. And it can only move 1 space further down. So we know it has to take those 4. So our first question is, does it go up or down? And I think the answer to this is obvious. If you've done enough of this type of puzzle, you know that if this goes down here, you have to put another I shape there, because you got to have 2 of those. And we can't do that. So that means this is forced. And so what do we put down here? We're going to have to put some piece down here, and there's several options, but a lot of them cause problems right away. So for instance, if I put a wall there, I said we have an L-shaped piece here. This is all very nice, but put another I shape right there. So we can't put a wall here. So whatever goes here has got to be just these two pieces right here. Then my other thought was, do we have a wall here? And I think the answer there was no. Yes, it's no, because that forces this to be an L shape, but then this is also an L shape. We can't have that happen. Well, this could be an I shape. That's a different problem. So we have to take all 3 of these. So then we're left with 2 options. We either have a V shape here or a C shape. So C shape is where both sides move up by 1, and V shape is where one of the sides takes all these pieces. Which one was it again? So this definitely doesn't work because that puts an I shape here. So we know that. So we know we have to take 1 space up this way. So C shape also doesn't work because it puts an I shape here. So yeah, we're left with a V shape. That's not too bad. So now here, let's see, this shape here, let's make it colors different, distinct from these. Let's make it this green. So we bring this up at least this far. Definitely can't do that. So if I bring this up, it has to be an L shape. If I bring it over, it would have to take that shape. But I don't have to take that shape, I can take these shapes. So let me just start with that. Actually, this right here is our L shape. That's forced. So that means we can't take this piece up here, because then it'll either be an I shape or an L shape. Is that right? No, we can still do that. Yeah, I think here we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen there. I can do that shape. Actually, I think we have 2 shape options. I think if I put a wall here, we don't have anything. It's a couple days since I actually recorded the video, so I remember the puzzle, but not with like picture perfect memory. So I am having to resolve bits of it that I don't remember. I can't put a wall here because that will force an L shape or an I shape. So I do have to take this, which means the only options, we have to put a wall there. We can't make another V. So we either have an N shape or a Y shape there. We're not sure which one it is. I think the next place I want to look is actually this corner. Even though it seems kind of wide open, it's just enough constriction there. For instance, if I put a wall here, what would I do? I'd have to put a piece, obviously there. It wouldn't be able to move down, so it'd move out. But it couldn't block a piece, and we'd have to move out this far to let another piece out. Well, that would give us an I or an L shape. So we have to put those 2 together, make it different green. And then I also can't put a wall here, I don't think, because we have the same issue. We can't block that piece, so we have an L. So we have these 3 together. Now, can I take this piece? No, because that's a P shape. If we have this, we always have a P shape. The only pentamino, like, I think, like, there's no point that anyone in this game particularly sits down and tells you that if you ever have these four together, the pentamino is always a P shape. But I think you can gather that pretty easily with just a little bit of thought. So P shape happens here. We have to block that off. So we have to take this piece out. We can't make an L shape. So this is forced to be an S shape. This one here then has got to come out. And now if we take this shape here, we're forced... Well, if we put a wall here, I mean, we'd be forced to have an L or an I shape. So we do have to actually take this piece. And so now we have sort of a ambiguous situation where this could be an N or a Y, and this can also be an N or a Y. That's all it can be, because it can't be a V here to block that. So these two take up our N and Y, which means no other piece can be N or Y. Let's take a look now at our good old P shape. What can we do with you? Well, let's imagine we put a wall down here. Well, we'd have to have a new shape here. That shape would have to come out, and it would have to be a C shape, right? Because it can't be an L, which means this P shape would block off whatever this is, and we have no way that works. So that means this P shape has to move down. I think we also have to take this spot, because if we don't, again, we have to bring this up, and the P shape would have to be like so. That's the only way it would work, and then now this is an I or an L shape. So this doesn't work. We have to also take this spot. And if we take this spot, we also have to take that one, because there's no way to make this P shape work without taking it, at least not in this arrangement. So now the question is, which one of these does it take? I don't know if that's the question we answer now, but we do know that this is a brand new shape that no one has ever seen before. It can move here if we like, because we could have the N shape, which means it moves in, or it could be the Y shape, which means that it moves it. But either way, this shape has to move down. And then, can I put a wall here? I could. No, I can't. Hold on. If I put a wall here, so I know this shape has to move down, because if it doesn't, it takes both of these. So it's got to move down. If it puts a wall here, we got to bring this out. That gives us the Y shape there, which is nice. But it also means we have a new shape here. What shape is going to go here, right? So let's imagine this world. Like so. Well, this shape here, we can't take this up because now there's not enough space there. We can't make an S and we can't make an L. So we actually can't put that there. We have to take all three of these. Let's see. And then I think I just see the answer to this, but that's not the greatest. I don't know. We're toward the end of the puzzle. It's possible to just kind of see it. So I guess I'm thinking about what goes in this spot. This spot right here. Is there a better color right now for that? Doesn't matter. Whatever goes here. Something's got to go here. It's going to leave 3 blank pieces here. Now I could take those like so, but either way, there's no way to reach this piece without this one being a part of it. This one right here can't be reached by the orange because it makes a V shape, and it can't be reached by the cyan because that also makes a V shape, so it must be reached by this piece. We can't add any more new pieces. There's just not enough to go around. So we got to take these 3. Now, let's see. This piece right here, I'm trying to think. This is right here. One of these has to be taken by this guy, but the P shape. Well, if the P shape takes this, this is where we run into trouble. If the P shape takes here, we got to have a Y shape down there, right? That means we can't have a Y shape or a P shape here, which means we can't take these 2, we can't take those 2. So we'd have to take these 2, which now gives us an L shape here. So we can't have that happen. So that means this doesn't take that space. So that means this blue has to go down into this area once. Just once. And then it has to move into this area just once. It's not going to take this spot. Yeah, if we take this spot, this cyan now has some trouble. It can't take both of these, so it would have to take that spot. But it can't be an L, can't be a Y, because now that's a Y, and it can't be an L up there. So the blue doesn't take that spot, which means it has to take that one. And now it's either an F shape or a cross shape. I think the disambiguation is going to come from up here. The P shape is complete. Now, now there's only one way to make this shape, because we have to take 2 of these spots, but they can't be consecutive because it makes a P shape. So we have this and that, we're disambiguated, and that's the end. I kind of saw that. I just wanted to work out the logic of it. Yeah, whenever you get to the end of a puzzle, at least whenever I do, I find the dilemma now is it becomes small enough to be solvable just on sight. But that's never really satisfying to just look at it and go, oh, I just know how that goes, right? So I'm trying to find a logical thing. But if the path to what is the one true logical answer takes longer to see, then I just end up with the, oh, just put in what you see, right? That's just mentally the shortcut you take. And I don't know if that's like a fixable problem. That's just how, puzzles work. I just try to not have that happen, and I just try not to be in a position where the only way for me to know the solution is to just see it. Anyway, let's look at this other puzzle right here. This one I remember liking quite a bit. I remember it looked like, what on earth do I start with? I think I ended up in my first run looking at this corner, which also looks like a good place to start. Look how many circles we've got all right here. So we can start with these squares playing with these circles, right? So, for instance, I think I worked out with this, like if this piece moved over, we'd have to move this piece over, and now we have some trouble. Right? Well, for sure, if I take that circle, we're in trouble here. If I take this circle, we're also in trouble. Right? Yeah, this circle can't escape this trap right here in this corner. This guy in the corner's got to come up and touch that square. And we can move one space over. We're not totally sure. We do have to move up, and we do have to touch this triangle. So we have an N shape to start with. Not sure if we're going to end with that N shape, but we'll see. Now we have this square, which is now forced out here, and it has to go. So we have two N shapes. One of these two is going to have to change. There's a couple ways to do it. This guy can turn into whatever you'd call this sextomino shape. I'm not actually sure if the sextominos have a thing. I know that tetrominos and pentominoes have letter names, and the only reason I know that is from other games I've played. This game, at least in the main game, does not tell you how to conceive of tetrominos and pentominoes. I'm not sure if that's necessarily a bad thing, but it does mean that if you go into this game without that knowledge ahead of time, you will have a harder time playing the game, and you won't know why. This piece can also be that, which I think is the same as that. It can also turn into this like hook shape. Really don't know what to say with that, but whatever. We know that one of these two, at minimum, has to be changed. So let's look at this guy now. So you are going to have to also extend up, because you can't go out any other way, and that's it as far as we go there. How about this one? This circle's got to come up, and we can't move anywhere there, so we got to take this square. Now this teal space, this green space, got to take the triangle, come up. Can't take the next triangle. So we have a W shape at minimum, but we can extend it in a couple directions. This piece can't go. Can't go. Oh, so we have another W shape, so one of these two has to change. Do we know anything else happening? How about this circle right there? This circle right here can come up. It's got the block there. Which one of these are we going to take? Well, we should probably think about what's going to go right in this spot right here. Let's make another green one. We're going to come up, and that makes this come up. This has to be blocked. So now this yellow shape is forced to be the N shape. The purple shape can't be N, so we have to bring it up. That's that. This one's got to move. We might just have this pentomino L. We might not. Oh, what's going to go here now? That's the good question. I asked. Let's put this color here. Triangle. We can't hit another triangle, so we got to come up. We got to hit another one. We have another W. There we go. So this is where things get a little interesting. We have 3 W's here. We can only have 1, so these are going to have to change. Actually, I really remember this now because I remember feeling like this was a really fun, logical move to make. Like, okay, the red piece can extend out, make this wavy thing. We can also make the wavy thing with both the orange and the green. But there's one piece that can do something very special here. And that's the orange piece. The other 2 pieces only have 1 course of action to make them not W's, whereas the orange has 2. So it all hinges on that, which means we don't want all of these to just extend 1 space, because then they'll all be the same piece. So one of the W's will stay, one of them will extend 1 space, and one of them will extend 2 spaces. The orange piece is the only one that can extend 2, so we're going to make this happen down here, and then the red will come out, and that's that. Let's put another blue piece up here. We have to take the square. think that's as far as we know for that. Let's down to this one. We don't know for sure what we're going to do out here. We have to take this out. We have to take these. We can't have an end shape, so we have to bring it out. But we can't bring it down any further. And I'm just going to say, it's not immediately obvious to me, but these are different pieces. Another reason why I have multiple times said I wish there was lots of puzzles with sextominoes, because something about a lot of this, like, when you do puzzles of this type, one of the ways, like, that it becomes more difficult than it needs to be is when you're asked to work with shapes you don't have a lot of experience with. And it doesn't matter if the rules are well explained. Tetrominoes and pentominoes, I've done enough of them that I know the language of that puzzle. I haven't done enough sextomino puzzles all in one time, all in a row, whatever, to learn that these two are different shapes, right? You have to work it out. And I'm sure some of you out there are like, that's obvious, you dummy. These two are very different shapes. What's wrong with you? All I can say to that is, I just don't immediately see it. I have to do this puzzle a lot of times to immediately see, without counting the spaces, that these two are different. Because they both look like zigzag, right? So that's one of the disadvantages of large puzzles with large pieces in them, is that unless you have properly built up to that with dozens and dozens of puzzles specifically training that, you'll get people like me who say, I just don't see that answer. I just don't see it. I still maintain that that's a failure on the side of the designer and not a failure on the side of the player. Because if the player doesn't know how to do something, the answer is either tell them they're not supposed to play the game at all, or you teach them how to play it. Those are your only two options. So now that was my way of complaining about the game despite liking this puzzle. There you go. I have to. It's contractually obligated to whine and moan about this game. What am I going to put here? I'm going to put red there. That's too close to the other one. I can put yellow there. So this one's got to be the blue shape, definitely. We got to do this. Okay, well, we have the T-shaped tetromino. Do we move it up? No, because now this shape can't reach a square, so we have to bring that over. Yeah, we just have this. The square has to touch. So this is done, so we can't have a T shape here. It's got to extend, and it can't extend any further, so we have an F shape. And now these two are part of the same unit for sure. The question is whether it's one of these two. We can't have an N shape, and we can't have this shape because it's this one, I think, or it's that one. I think it's this one. Yeah, I think this shape would match this one. Whatever. These two shapes, I think, cover everything we can do here. So I think we have to take this one here, and then if we just make a P shape, we're going to be good. I think I'll just make this one red. There we go. These reds are like really orangey here. That's two puzzles down. Let's head down to the bridge area and finish the rest of these. Okay, here we go. Just rows, windows, and mismatch, nothing else going on. And we got a 6x6 space, 36 things. Well, first things first, we're going to block those. We're going to block these. So we can really quickly say that this square here has to touch that circle, because it's not going to escape anywhere else, which is going to put the same constraint over here, where we can't come out any other direction, which now all of these squares have to touch all of these circles going straight out. We can't bend in any way. So let's see. Let's get one there. Let's get one here. Let's get one there. Let's get one there. So now I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna make this that color, and then let's see if I can make these distinguished. So I use all 8 colors. Very important. These two are gonna touch this way. The reason is like this one can only touch that circle, which means this one can only touch that circle, right? So now we have 8 triominoes here. So the crux of this one is figuring out from the remaining pieces what I could possibly create. So I've got, of the 36 spaces, if I have 8 times 3 is 24. So I should have 12 remaining. 6, 7, 8, 12. Okay, so let's just do a little math I'm going to draw on the board here. Wish there was more space to draw now that I'm realizing it. I don't know. I imagine that when the devs are doing this, they're not thinking, what if we had some weird autistic person who needed to like map out a bunch of unnecessary doodles and needed more space than we provided. I don't think that's the thing the devs are going to think about. So 12 spaces are left, and we have 8 triominoes to work with. These two numbers are not necessarily related. I'm not doing this kind of stuff. I'm just saying these are the two numbers I'm thinking of. Well, one of these can remain a triomino. And the only triomino I can make is this straight line. There's no elbow piece. So we're going to say we really only need to make 7 more pieces using this 12. Well, if we think of tetrominoes, there are 5 possible tetrominoes. The reason we know that is simply I've done enough of these puzzles. I know this is the sentence you make for tetrominoes. Once again, if you know this going into the game, it makes the game easier. If you don't know this starting the game, I'm not entirely sure the game teaches it. At least I have not picked up on it. I have not picked up on it. I just know this going in. Okay, well, we're not going to make all 5 of these. It's not going to happen. The I shape is possible. The L shape is possible. The T shape is not. It would be, but every single triomino here has its centerpiece obscured. So we can't make a T shape. Definitely can't make an S or an O. So we're going to get rid of all that. So I and L are the only 2 we can make. Well, that would take up 2 pieces, because we only have to add 1 more of each, and it gives us 5. Which means the remaining 5 pieces have to take the remaining 10 cells, making up 5 pentominoes. So we have our triomino. I'm just going to call it our 3-piece. We have our IL tetrominoes. So triomino, tetrominoes, those are the 3. Now our pentominoes, what can we make? I know we can make an I pentomino. We can make an L pentomino. We can make a Q pentomino. We can't. What are the letters again? I can make an N. That's one I can make. C shape is not possible with what we have here because, every possible place to put a C shape intersects with another thing. So T shape is possible. It's only possible here, I think. Looks like it. V shape is possible in a couple spots. Y shape is possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ooh, that gives us more than what we need. Are there any other shapes I can make? Can't make a C shape. Can't make a cross. Can't make a P shape. There's nowhere to stick those. Can't make an S shape. I think these are the 6 I have. The thing is, once you get to pentominoes, unless you've done a lot of pentomino puzzles and you have read on the theory of it or whatever, you probably don't know immediately what all of them are. And I did. Going into this game, I knew some general stuff about pentominoes, but I would look at this and go, is this all the pentominoes? Is this half of them? Is this a quarter of them? I don't know offhand. But we can look at these and go, well, is there any way for a pentomino to reach this section? Well, it's not going to be a triomino or a tetramino. It's going to be a pentomino. Yes, there is. And it's only this piece right here. So I'm going to mark off, we got this one done now. That one's done. So we still have quite a lot of options here. We do have to extend this piece up. So now this one can be a T shape or an L shape. Let's think. Oh, now what I can do is I can draw all the possible shapes here. We've got our I shape. Our I5 is done. There we go. This piece now is either an L of 4 or 5. It could just be a tetramino. Or it is a T. Those are our options here. Now here we have a few options. We can't make that I, but we can just make a regular tetramino I. We can do an L of both types. We can do a V, and we can do... I think that's all we can do. Here we can do, again, I and L of both types. We can make a V, not a V shape, sorry. We can make a Y shape and an N shape on this one as well. Now here... Let's see, this guy right here, I shape is fine of both types, but 4 is the tetramino is the one left. The only L this could make is an L5. And that's it. Yeah, that's it. We can make L's coming down here. We can make I's. We can L up there. This one is an I. I mean, they can all be the 3. I'm not going to even bother. Something's going to be left over as a triomino. This can be an I shape and an L5. Oh, these two have the same restrictions. This one can be an I shape. This one can be an L of both types, because we can just make an L4, make an L5, and that's it. We can make an L of both types, and we can make a V out of that. Okay, well, that's not the most helpful thing. It does tell me that the Y and the N really only have one piece that can take either of them. And that's this one, which means you can't have both an N and a Y, which means that between the L, the T, and the V, we do have to, in fact, use all 3 of them. So this has to be the T, because nothing else can be the T. And if we don't have the T, that means we have an L, N, V, and a Y, and we can't because the Y and the N, this is the only piece that can be either of them. I don't know if this is how you're supposed to solve the puzzle. This is how I'm solving it, though, and it feels good to solve it the way I'm solving it, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to remove the notes and the things I don't need. So this piece now actually has to take that spot, because we can't with this piece because it's going to double this one. And we can't have a sextomino. We just won't have enough space left over. So you got to go up there, but we're not sure if it's L or N yet. Actually, no, it can't be L because we know there has to be at least one of Y or N. Because if we don't have that, we just don't have enough pieces left. So we can't take that piece. We have to make this the N. That forces this to be the V. And from this point, I think we just have the answer. There we go. Yep. Hopefully that's the way you're supposed to solve it, because I liked solving this puzzle this way. Alrighty. Two more. So with this one, it's Palisades, so I just instantly kind of dislike it. I don't know. There's nothing like wrong with it. It just always feels, when there's some things you just don't jive with. The advantage of putting, 500 different rules into the game is it means, yeah, somebody might not like all of them, but you're going to like something. And Palisades just aren't my favorite. But I can work with this. So right away, I see this straight away on the wall, which means these three are put together. We got to put a wall there and a wall there, and this can't be a wall. Aside from that, what do we know? Means this corner is interesting. This corner right here. We could make this a single space, or we could bring it over here, which would make it a dead end. So it's a 1 or a 2. We know that much. And this is a very important piece if we're in mismatch, because they all have different shapes. So whichever one this is, it really restricts all the others. And in fact, there can only be one piece which is a single and one piece which is a domino. There's only one way to make those. So if I find where the single and the domino are, it puts a lot of restrictions on the other pieces. So some other things, we know that this piece has to extend out that way. This one's got to extend out. This one does. This one does. These could be part of the same unit. We don't know for sure. Oh, hold on. Down here is interesting. So down here, once again, it could be a single. That would restrict this one. Or it can be a double. Or it can be a triple. It's a 1, 2, or 3. 1, 2, 3. Then I remember this. Oh, hold on. I should be looking at the center. So, okay, I'm the idiot now. I've solved this puzzle too. I should have immediately gone like, I remember this. You start in the center. All right. But this is just how it is. If watching somebody playing a game on YouTube is different than playing it, like, my eyeballs are looking somewhere that your eyeballs are not. So your eyeballs probably went right to the centerpiece, and mine just didn't go here. So this piece could be, again, a single, or it could be a double, or a triple, whatever. But the thing is, I don't think this piece can take more than one of these dead ends, just because of these straightaways. Like, if it takes... Actually, it can't take any of them. Let's think about how the straightaways go. Let's imagine here, we take this piece. Well, now this one's got to go this way. This one's got to go that way, and that one's got to go that way. And if we went the other side, if we extended this, we'd extend that, we'd do this again. In either case, this centerpiece must be by itself. So that is the solo. I don't have to worry about any of this disambiguation. This must be the 2. This must be the domino, which means this piece can't be a single or a domino. It must be an elbow piece, like so. That means we only have one triomino remaining. And then everything else after that's got to be at least 4 pieces. Oh, so down here is actually quite restricted now. We can't have this be a single or a domino. So it cannot be something that's not either of these colors. It must be one of these 2 colors. Which means this... this must connect... This could connect with green. Let's suppose it didn't connect with green. Then it could connect here just fine. Could I put a wall there? No? Yeah. Could I put a wall here? I'd have to connect... Well... Oh, if I put a wall there, this piece obviously has to connect with one of these 2 colors. It has to be green, but then it would have to connect here because we can't have a single. So no, there's no wall here. This is part of red. It means that's a wall, and then that has to come down here because we have to have a separate section. We can't have any elbows, so these pieces have to extend. This one can only extend this way. This one could extend up or it could extend to the side. Not 100% sure yet, but I do know that down here is a new color. Like, this can't be the red, for sure. This can't be, because it can't have, so this has to be a new color as well. Although it could be part of the orange, we're not sure. Anything else I know? I mean, I can always just say this corner has to be like so. Ah, here. This piece here, what color is it? If we have a new color here, well, we'd have to make this one thing. But we'd have to extend it there and it would be a domino. So this actually has to be part of the cyan thing I've just created, which means that this is different and this now has to extend. Let's make it orange so it's different than these two colors. There's that. I don't know what to do after that though. Is this part? No, this can't be part of cyan because I'll automatically just break that. So this is a new color. And this new color here can't not be a part of this green because then it would extend down and create an elbow. So we actually do just have this extension here, which means this space now is a new color. Actually, can it be a brand new color? Could it just be part of purple? If this is a new color, we have to bring it down, and we can't leave it as a domino, so we have to extend it. We'd have to take it all the way down here. That seems good so far. Then what would go in this spot here? We take a piece here, this would come down, and then it couldn't be part of either of these two. Go here, and that's the end of that. We have a triomino. That seems just fine. No, it isn't, because now where's the straightaway go? The straightaway has to be its own thing now if this is how we go, and now we have a domino in there. Yeah, that's it. This must be purple. It could still extend. This, we could still do this. It feels weird, but we could still do it. This could still extend. No, this can't extend down here, because then these two straightaways don't work. We know that the straightaways make this weird ziggy-zaggy pattern. So actually, we should put walls all around. I should have put that earlier. So does green go there or orange? Not sure yet. This can't be an elbow, so we do have to extend it, which means this L is complete, which means this must also extend, because otherwise it's another L. So we do have to do this. We can't do, yeah, this has to be done. Which means this can't be an L, we have to make it a P-shaped pentomino, which means this is, actually our straightaway stuff is solved. This has to move out this way. This needs to extend, so that's the wall, and that's that comes through here. This is going to come through, and is it done? Yeah, if I finish this off, we're going to have a domino down here. So no, we have to bring that down like that. That was how this one was done. And that wasn't too long, but let me tell you, my first solve of this was a big deal. I don't know why, I just struggled with it. I struggled with Palisades. That is a user error. That is not on the devs. But I still just don't like them. All right, time for the big one, the 7. Now this one, I ended up solving by figuring something out about pentominoes. And it feels good to sort of figure that stuff out, although I still question, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to complain about a game I like. Sorry, you're just going to deal with it. Live your life. The question was I supposed to figure this out in this puzzle, or was I supposed to figure it out earlier, or not? Because again, like I said at the beginning of this video, the game doesn't really sit you down and teach you the theories of like pentomino solving that people who solve a lot of pentominoes know. And I personally think that it is unreasonable to assume to assume that a player is going to solve a pentomino puzzle in the way that someone who has done those puzzles before will solve them, unless the game itself specifically sets you up to learn that thing. And this game has set us up to learn some stuff, but it's mostly just given us rules and told us to go nuts. And so the things like these are your 5 tetrominos isn't specifically taught in the game, but tetrominos are easy enough that a person can probably pick this up quickly. Even if they don't have letter names for it, they can probably figure out these are your 5 shapes. Pentominoes are harder. And so I sat down with this puzzle to work them out because I was getting stuck and I ended up having a revelation. And I'm going to bring that revelation in now, which would actually have sped up my puzzle solving if I had just done it first. So we have 30 shapes, or 30 cells in here, 30 in there. They all have to be pentominoes, so we work out there's 6 per cell. We could 6 per block, which we can also work out by looking at the number of rows windows and seeing precision. There's 6 of each thing. That means there are 6 pentominoes in each. We can't have the same in any spot, so we have to have 12 pentominoes. Now let's sit down and work out what are the pentomino shapes. I'm going to go through the alphabet. The game also doesn't teach you that pentominoes have letter names in the game. I'm saying the game itself, using the mechanics of the game that are here, it doesn't teach you. If anyone's like, well, you can just work it out. No. That's not what's happening here. It's not necessarily a criticism unless you're expected to know that, and you're not really expected to know. But in this puzzle I learned if you do this, like we don't have an A pentomino, we don't have a B, the first letter of the alphabet we can have is C, right? If we go through, we have C, we have F is the next letter that's available to us, then I, then L, then N, then P. So we've got 6 right there. We have S, T, V, W, X, and Y. These are all the pentominoes I could think of. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized I think these are in fact all the pentominoes. And I'm just telling you, going into this puzzle, I did not know that there were only 12. It's just something about the way the numbers work. We've done a lot of tetramino puzzles where we are in fact forced to use all 5 of them. And so you can see very plainly, these are the only 5. It's a little bit more clear, even though the game doesn't just sit you down and hold your hand with it. That's probably fine. This is the first time I was ever asked to do this with pentominoes. I don't think I was even asked to. I think I just thought to do this. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not sure of what I was doing. This ended up working for me, and it's very brilliant. However, I still felt very insecure about this because I wondered, was this the puzzle I'm supposed to learn this, or was I supposed to learn this earlier? And I either was too stupid to see it, or the devs just never taught me. Was I expected to do some homework before playing the game? The fact that I knew pentominoes could be these letters at all is because I played other games. And I've, spoken with other puzzle solvers who do this kind of stuff and they've used these letters, right? So I don't know. I just ended up doing this solve, but feeling insecure in the solve, like I cheated somehow. But I will say this feels like the right way because this will just solve the puzzle for you. And I've now yapped enough time for you to see why this solves the puzzle. 12 pentominoes, 6 in here, 6 in there. We have to use one of each. There is no pentomino that isn't used. And so that means we have to find a place for some very strange pentominoes. When I first did the puzzle, I started on this side and I worked out pretty well what I could do. But I ended up getting stuck because it felt like there were too many possibilities. I didn't know which way to go. The big one here is this X. That was the guy. I'm actually going to move this note up a little higher so I have some space closer to the board to do some stuff. So here are the pentominoes that I have available to me. Here, I'm going to work them out. The X is the interesting one here because we're going to look at this board and see where we can put an X. And I spent way too long not thinking about the cross shape until way too late, and then I realized how to solve the puzzle. Where are you going to put a cross shape? It's not going to be here. Let's see which circle. Which circle can take cross shape? Not this one here, because it won't touch a square. Not this one. Not this one. Not this one, because it'll touch two circles. Or no squares. This one can't touch a square without touching another circle. This one is the only one. This is the only cross shape you can make in this area. And it causes a problem because now this piece down here has to be part of a pentomino and will never touch a square. So from that I can work out there is no cross shape over here. It must be on this side. It can't be this circle. It can't be that circle. It can't be this. It can't be that. It can't be anything in the corner. So it has to be either this one, which is either not going to touch a square or it's going to touch two squares, or this guy. And in fact, this is the only one that I could work out as a cross shape. And it can't go there, so we've got to have that blocked off. So that means we have, this is our cross shape. And the reason this feels like, am I supposed to do it this way? Is because it just kind of gives me a shape, right? It just gives it to me so early that it makes this feel less difficult than it was. When I solved it without knowing this, I solved about 70% of it. It was taking a long time and it was very satisfying. I eventually reached an impasse, but this feels like a shortcut because now this side is going to be very, very easy when I get to it. I'm going to go back to this side now. We're going to put some walls up. And we're going to ask a question about what piece can go here. We know it's not the X. We can get rid of that. What piece is going to go here? Well, let's imagine a world where it takes that space. Now, we're really in trouble because these two circles can only touch that square. It's the only one that can reach within 5 spaces. So it's not going to happen. We know that this is going to touch either that space or that space. Will it even go up 1 space? The answer to that is still no, because these two circles now can only touch that square. Right? I mean, like, they can reach that square without going through a circle, but it's way too far away. So we got to put a wall there. We know that much for certain to start with. Now, we don't know yet which one of these two we take. We can make a V shape, or we can make a, no, it'd have to be T shape or an L shape here. No, it'd have to be T shape. The reason is if this red piece doesn't take this corner has to... Can this be anything else? No, I don't think I can even do this. It's either this V shape here, or it's this T shape, because if I don't take this corner piece, what can this corner piece touch? The only square it can reach is that one. Can't reach up there. So yeah, there we go. So we know these three are there. So we either have a V shape or we have a T shape. This fella down here, we're going to have to extend upward. If we don't extend it upward, if we put a wall there, we have to bring it around, and we can't, yeah, we'd run out of space before we reach that. So we do have to extend it upward. So it has to be blocked there. Now if we put a wall here, we'd have the same issue as before. We'd first have to take both of these spaces, and then we'd just be stuck. So we do have to move it here. So it can take this space, or it can take that one, and that one. It can't take this one. Because if we take this space here, we'd have to take that one. We just wouldn't end up with a circle. So we have to block that. So we have a W shape potentially. We have an F shape potentially, an S shape. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember everything about the puzzle. I'm just trying to sound like a big smarty pants by showing you all this. But I still have to do some work. It's mostly over here. Because I have to reduce some of this stuff. The X here is basically going to, once we hit a certain point in the puzzle, it's just going to fall into place. This guy... Well, hold on. Let's go. Oh, hold on. Let's look up here. So you, my friend. You right here. You're going to come out. Could move down here. Can we? Can we move this down? If I move this down, this piece has to come through there. This would be trouble, because now this piece can't reach this corner. It would have to be this one, which makes it a W piece, which means where does this guy go? That's what it is. So we do, in fact, block that off. So, okay, we got to take this. So now we have a new shape here. It's got to come out. And this shape now has to touch one of these two circles. So it's either this circle or this circle, right? But either way, I don't think it actually takes this space to the right. Because if it takes the space to the right, we now have a Y shape or an N shape like this. But either way, an N shape like this, who takes that spot? No one can reach. If it's the Y shape, who takes this? We now have an empty space there. So we do have to put a wall there. Bring this down. So it's either going to be... Well, we could make an N shape here, and then we make the V shape. That's totally fine. We could make a Y shape and break the puzzle, because now we need that. So it could be an I shape. So I shape or N shape. Not totally sure yet. Cool. I kind of like, you know, you have to work through this one. This one isn't a gimme. This one doesn't give it to you. Is there any way that this piece does not touch that one? No, because then this one has nothing to touch. So we do have to take that spot, which means this circle now can only touch that square. I'm going to swap these. The colors are a little bit more contrasting with each thing. I hope that makes it easier to see. So we got to block that. So now this must be the circle here. Let's see. Can I do this? Or can I do that? This is a problem. I think this is a problem. So if I say this N causes a problem here. Because now this piece has to come down. This piece is one of these two. It has to be this L shape. So we have an L and an N. We'd have to do this, right? So now how do I fill this in? This red cannot move up to here because, right, this red has to come down into this spot. It's the only one that fits, and it's an N shape. So I can't make an N shape with the cyan. So I think now we've worked out this is the shape. This is the shape here. So this, we have IT. So let's work out I and T are out. This shape can be a W, it can be an N. Oh no, this can't be an N, because now this piece is going to create orphan cells. So W shape is given. Cool, we got that. I think this is how the puzzle went. I got those shapes taken care of, and then I had to figure out which ones to put for the rest. I think we have a couple options here. This shape could come down here. This could come down here. Yeah, if I had a Y shape up here, this is a Y or an L. It's one of those two. This is a Y shape. We have an L and an S. So the options here, we can have Y, L, S. Great. If we said this is an L shape, now this can't go here. This red shape can't go in because that makes two L's. Yeah, I can't have an L there. This can't be an L, so it can't go down. So the red has to go down to that spot, which can't be a W though, so it's a P shape and that's an N. So we have, let's say instead this is L, S, Y, so that this is now L, N, P. That's great writing. Everyone can read that. All right, so we can't have that. I mean, we can have that, excuse me. These are our options. Both of these options include the L. So I cannot put an L over here. And that is now going to start our puzzle solving on this side. Because we're going to start with this piece here. We got to move out this far, but we can't make an L because the L will be over here. We're just not sure yet, so it must be a C shape. That's going to mark that off. So now on this side, we must have, can't have L. We must, the ones that don't exist over there, we must have an F. We must have a V. Is that right? 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, F and V must be over here somewhere. And then it's going to have either SY or NP. One of those two couplets. That's what we're left with. So let me get rid of it here, because now we're done. These are our remaining things. So these two are going to touch each other. There's no getting around that. These two are going to touch each other like that. So the question is, which of these do what? Well, now, what goes down here? If we imagine that this space is occupied by a new cell, it's got to come up. And now this blue one doesn't have anywhere to go. So blue's got to take that spot. I think we have the same issue here. If this is not a blue cell, we have to come up and touch something. We can't block it in. And so now we have a problem with this cell. So we have to have, this is the P cell. So now we know this is going to be NP. This means this is L, S, and Y. So we know how L, S, and Y is going to go. S, Y, L. This is complete. Now we got to figure out, this is the P, we're just not sure which way it's going to go, so we have to have F, V, and N. This purple cell's got to come into here, so it could be a V. It could also be, can't be the P. The P shape is done. We know it's here. It can't be N. It can be an F. It can't be an F, so this is a V. And I hope I did this right. I think I did. I think we're going to put our good old-fashioned N here. We're going to put our F there, and this is our P, and that's how you solve the puzzle. The end. So yeah, back to my, griping about good puzzles bit. I actually do think this is a good puzzle, but I don't know, I ended up not experiencing it as joyfully as I think I could have. And this is just an issue I'm experiencing with this game that, if it happened once or twice, I would just chalk it up to I just got unlucky. But I am consistently running into issues where I don't feel about a puzzle the way that I expect to feel. And I feel confused after this one because I wonder if I would, I don't know, if I was supposed to know the trick that I used to solve this puzzle before getting to it, then I feel stupid for not having learned it. If I was supposed to discover that trick, I personally feel I'm not supposed to discover that kind of trick here. I'm supposed to discover that there are only 12 pentominoes before I get here. If that wasn't necessary to solve the puzzle, then I wonder if I cheated because I used that thing that wasn't supposed to be used, right? Do you see what I'm trying to say? In every situation, I end up feeling a little disappointed, even though this was a good puzzle, right? So I hope you can understand why I'm going to be a whiny bitch about a game that I overall enjoy, even though I do think some of the errors that I'm experiencing are entirely solvable if the devs made some changes. So there you go. I've taken this episode that was all about puzzles I like, and I want to end it on a nice sour note. But I think that explains why I don't like this game as much as I wish that I could like it. I like the game, but there is a ceiling to my like. I'm going, there's some good puzzles in here, but I'm feeling more frustrated than I think I need to be feeling. But let's leave mismatch now, and in another video, let's go do some other section. I don't know which one. I don't know where this is going to go in. This is a re-record. I've already done some other puzzles and come back to this. I'm just all sorts of confused. But thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Have yourselves a great day. Goodbye.